In this video, we're going to learn how to create video carousel simulation. Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Ali, and in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create engaging video carousel simulation. Rather than just using the carousel component inside the studio, we will learn how to create and design our own scenes with moving characters and make it more engaging. But just know that this requires a little bit more time. So just be patient and let's dive into our training class today. So right now we're inside of CS and I'm going to show you what it looks like before we move forward. Let me go ahead and play this for you and show you what that looks like. So if I go back from the very beginning and then I click on show on the canvas mode right here, zoom out just a little bit of our canvas. Now we see that we have a total of 5 scenes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. These are the ones that I'm going to show you how to create in order for you to achieve the video carousel simulation and be able to create engaging carousels rather than just using the carousel component. Now, just know that later on, if you want to have a longer video that has, a video carousel simulation, you need to duplicate your scenes in order to have it stay longer in the timeline if you want to. So let's just start diving in and start creating the whole thing from scratch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'll just go ahead and remove this thing, and then I will open up my components to drag the carousel component onto my canvas. I'm only doing this just to take it as a reference in order to make sure that I have the correct size for my scenes, the one in the middle, which is going to be our main focus, and the side videos or side scenes as well. So let's start by creating our scenes. I'm going to open up my studio right here, grab a few backgrounds. So I'm going to start with this background, and I'm going to resize it like this. I'm going to make sure that it's the same size of my main screen for the carousel component. So we're going to resize it to make sure it is the same size. And we're also going to make sure that it has rounded corners as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm currently just making the rounded corners right here. So if you just look at the image there, you're going to find, 4 dots around the corners. When you hover over any of those, you'll find a crosshair where you can just grab it and make it rounded with rounded corners. Now I'm going to keep the whole thing for 5 seconds. So I'm extending my background for 5 seconds. And then I'm going to open up my studio one more time, go to my characters right there, and then grab my wizard guy for the first screen right here. Make sure he is in the right size inside my screen number 1 or scene number 1. Now, I'm not going to change any actions, but feel free to do that. I just want to make sure that you understand the concept and how you really can achieve this. And later on, you're free to do anything you want. And it all comes down to your creativity. So let's go ahead and extend the action for our character right here. And then there you go. We have our scene ready, the first scene ready and set. I'm going to go ahead and select both layers in the timeline. And then I will hit Control or Command for you if you're using Mac OS, G, and then you're going to have your first one. So we can just call this one screen 1. And then I'm going to start building the side scenes. So we're going to go ahead and open up our studio one more time, go to backgrounds, and I'm going to check another backgrounds right here. So we're going to do the same thing for this one. And I might just want to change the value from the scale settings from 100% to 51, and let's just even just adjust it a little bit more like this, and then just move it on top of the left side of my canvas right here, just to make sure that it's the same size. And while you're working with your scenes, like part of them is outside of your canvas, you could just go onto the right panel where it says canvas mode and click on show. That way you can see better, and then you can just freely adjust your assets or your elements exactly how you want. So let's just make sure that we have this set up correctly. And then I'm going to make this one also with rounded corners like this. And then we go back right here. So this is going to be our next scene. And I want to make sure that it's just also, I extend the layer of the background to make sure that it's lined up with the rest of the layers in the timeline. And I'm going to go and open up my studio one more time, grab one of the characters in there, and we want to do Esther, for example. And then we could just scale her down. We could just have her right here and scale her even down just a little bit like this. And we can extend the action as well by hovering over the little vertical line towards the end. And then we can simply just extend the action all the way to line this up with the background. So now we got that set up, everything looking good so far. I'm gonna group these guys up together as well. So hitting Control or Command G to group this up, right click, and then we can rename this one and call it screen number 2, just so we know exactly what we're working with. So now we got that covered. Now, I don't need to go back into the studio and then, grab another background, resize it, and do all of that. What I can simply do is just duplicate this one. So I'm going to hit Control D to make another duplicate of it, and simply just drag this one onto the right side right here. Make sure it's in the, in position. And then I can just go inside the group and make my changes exactly how I want. So I can just double click the group for screen number 3. Let's rename it first before we make any adjustments. So screen number 3, and then we double click the group to open it up. And now we have our background and we have our character. So we could just simply go ahead and delete the character and then add another character. So these are going to be random characters that I'm going to use just for the sake of the training. And then I'm going to scale my character just a little bit more, like this. I might just want to keep this one on the left side since this scene is going to be on the right side. So just keeping him right there, and I'll extend the action by hovering over the little vertical line towards the end of my character's layer, extending that action all the way to 5 seconds. And I will also want to replace the background. Before I remove this one, I will just go to backgrounds and then get another one just to make sure it has the same rounded corners. So I'm going to use this as my reference before I change it to something else. So let's go ahead and make the change and get another background, make this full width, and then that one needs to be at the bottom of the layer. So we get that right here. We extend it just a little bit. Oh, we might want to just grab this one on top right there, so we can just easily make sure it has the same rounded corners for this one. And then we can simply just delete the additional background that we don't need anymore. So we got that set up, everything looking good so far. We go back to the main timeline right here, and now we got that set up all looking good. Now I'm going to have this video carousel slides to the left side, which means that the main scene that we have currently is going to slide into the left side, and then this one is also going to go to the left side. So everything is going to slide into the left side. That means that I'm going to build another 2 scenes that I'm going to have onto the right side, and they can also follow along with the rest of the movement for all scenes. So what we're going to do is that we're going to need to make another duplicate, right, just to save our time. So instead of having to recreate this and resizing and do all of that, you can simply just duplicate your groups and then make your edits when you go inside. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'll make another duplicate of screen number 3, and then I could just rename it and then call this screen number 4, like that. And then I want to make sure that this guy is going to start from right just before. Oh, looks like I did something wrong. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna undo that. So we got screen 4 in position. Let's have a look. Perfect. Okay. I think I deleted it before, or duplicate. I don't know what happened, but I apologize about this. I'm going to make another duplicate of this group right here and then rename it. So call this one screen number 5, like that. And then for this guy, I'm just going to move it or slide it in right next to the scene on the right side, or my side scene, like this. And then what I can do is I can go ahead and open up the group and make my changes exactly how I want. So same thing. So we're going to go ahead and open up the group. So ungroup that one. So remove the character right here. We start from the beginning, and then we open up our studio right here. We go into the characters and simply just drag one of the characters in there. So we could just say this guy right here. And we could also just position him right here, scale him up just a little bit, and extend the action all the way to 5 seconds, like that. Grab another background, and then we want to make sure that we have an empty track right underneath the character's layer. And let's just grab one of the backgrounds available in here. So we could just pick up this one, for example. We want to drag it underneath the characters layer, extend it to make sure it's lined up with the rest of the layers. And then we want to make it round with rounded corners as well. So I'm adjusting the roundness of my background and simply just remove the additional background that I don't need. Right click and remove excess tracks. So I got that covered. Everything looking good so far. Then I still have one more scene to go. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll just make a duplicate for that one too. So we will just Control D to make another duplicate. Right click, rename, and then make this one screen number 6, like that. And for this one, I'm just going to keep it right there on top of screen number 5. So let's just go back right here and then start talking about animation and how you can actually get this done exactly how you want. So we are going to start with the main screen right here that we've got, which is screen number 1. And we're going to start using keyframes to add our animation and achieve the video carousel simulation that we wanted. So the first thing I'm going to do is I will just go into the canvas mode and click on hide. And then I can just go and click on my screen number 1, which is the one on the center of my canvas. And I'm going to start adding some keyframes. So I will click on add animation right here. And then under properties, I want to choose position and scale. For the easing, I will keep it smooth for all scenes. So we're not going to make any changes to our easing. Properties is always going to be position and scale as well for the rest of the scenes. So the best length or the best duration and speed for this type of animation after making a few tests is I found that it's best at 2 seconds. So I will just extend the second keyframe, drag it all the way to where 2 seconds is at. So moving my playhead to where I am at 2 seconds in the timeline. And then now I'm going to select my second keyframe, make sure this is turned in blue. That's how you know it is going to take effect. And then I'm simply just going to drag it, or first of all just resize it. So let's just go onto the right panel, we click on the properties tab, and then we're going to go from scale 100 to 51, and we could just simply just drag this guy all the way to the left side right here. Now we will arrange the order of the scene, so don't worry about that. And now that we are on the right track, we don't need the carousel component anymore. So I'll just go ahead and remove that and just take it off, just so we're not distracted with whatever it is that we have right here. And so that would be the first movement. So this one is going to slide to the left side and scale down that way. Now I want to have this also slide into the left side. So I'm just going to zoom out of my canvas like this, and I'm going to add my keyframes as well. So I will just use position for this one, so because it's only going to slide from where it is to the left side, and the easing is also going to be the same, so it's going to be smooth by default. I'll just extend a keyframe, make sure it is lined up with my my second keyframe on my on screen number 1, like that. And then I could just simply drag it or press the shift key on my keyboard with the left arrow key, and then I could just drag this guy a little further out like this from screen number 1, like that. So if we just go back right here and then press play, that is how it's going to look like. Next up, we go back right here from the very beginning, and then we want to start adjusting this one. So screen number 4, right? So actually, look, this should be in screen number 3. I might have the wrong number, so excuse me about that. Let's go ahead and make the changes real quick, adjusting the numbers. So screen number 3 for this one, and that one should be screen 4 right here, and then we will have this one screen number 5. All right, so going back to screen number 3, which is the one on the right side here, I'm going to do add animation right here under properties. So I'll choose position and scale. Easing is always going to be as is, like I said, and then all I need to do is just drag my second keyframe all the way to 2 seconds, make sure it is lined up with all other keyframes on the layers, and select that, make sure it's turned to blue. And then I could just, come here on the scene. There are a few buttons on top of it. One of them is the center button. So when I click that, it centers the scene for me on my canvas. And then I can go onto the right panel, click on the properties tab, and then I can just change this or you know, scale this one up just a little bit to make sure that it's going to be in the right size. So let's go do that right here, like this. Perfect. Now let's just go back and then have a play and see what that looks like. Cool. All right. Next up, so we want to grab the next scene that's going to be here. I will just have it right there, and then I'm going to go back to the very beginning right here for screen number 4, and then I just want to use position animation. So I'm going to add the animation right here, and I'm going to choose position. Easing is going to be as is. Extend the duration, so extending my second keyframe and making sure this is lined up with the with all the second keyframes on the layers right here, and then I'll just simply drag this one and basically just get it right here, just a little bit closer to that one right here. So if we go back, you know, one more time, then we press play and show you what that looks like. Awesome. All right, cool. Now, next up is I want to continue, you know, with the loop animation and have this one also slide to the left side and then this one go away, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to click on, select that one on the main screen right here, which is screen number 3. And then from here, where my playhead is right on top of the second keyframe of my first animation, I will just click on add animation right here. And then I want to choose position and scale for this one. Easing is going to be as is. Next up is I want to move my playhead forward in time to keep it at 4 seconds, and then drag my second keyframe for screen number 3 like that. And then I can just simply go onto the right panel under the properties tab, click that, and then we want to change this down. So first of all, let me resize it and make it a little bit smaller like this. And then we could just drag it. Oops. Give me 1 second. All right, there you go. We could just drag it all the way to the left side. Like that. And then we're going to need to go and resize it one more time just to make sure it is in the right size like this. And position it right on top of this scene right here. So let's just go back and play this from the beginning one more time. And here we go. Cool. Now we want to make sure that while this one is sliding to the left side, that this one goes away, right? So for this one, this is basically screen number 1. So I'm gonna have my playhead exactly where I'm at my second keyframe for the first animation. I want to go ahead and click on add animation right here. Under properties, I will just choose position. Easing is going to be as is. I'm going to extend the keyframe for this one to make sure that it goes up to 4 seconds right here. And I could just, you know, drag this scene all the way to the left side like this. So I want to make sure that it goes like after this screen. So when we go back right here and then press play and show you what that looks like, this should look natural or looking really good so far. Awesome. Next up, I want to grab the next scene, right? So that would be this one right here, which is screen number 4. So again, where my playhead needs to be is at 2 seconds. Right in the middle of the second keyframe of my first animation. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on add animation right here. We're going to do position and scale. Easing is going to be as is. Move my playhead forward in time at 4 seconds. Drag my second keyframe right here. And make sure that, you know, it's selected, turned to blue, and then we can just center it. And then we go onto the properties tab right here. We scale this one up just like this. And that should be looking good. All right, let's go back from the very beginning, have a play. Awesome, absolutely amazing. Now, the next thing I want to do is so I have my screen number 5 sitting right there the whole time. I haven't added any keyframes if you notice that. And the reason for that is because this is my last one that's going to show up once this one slides to the center of the screen where it is right now. So we're going to go back to 2 seconds in the timeline. And then for this one, looks like I haven't made changes to it. So let's just go inside real quick and then make changes to this one. So I'm going to remove the character right here, open up my studio, grab another character, and let us do the hipster lady right there. We could just scale her up just a little bit, have her on the left side of my screen, extend the action all the way to 5 seconds. And then we can just go into the backgrounds and pick one of the backgrounds available. So let's try out this one, for example, right here. I'm going to drag it underneath the characters layer like that, extend it to make sure it's lined up, and it just goes all the way for 5 seconds. Delete the additional, oh, I'm sorry. Make sure that this also has the rounded corners, so don't forget about that, just so that they all look exactly the same. So we're going to delete the additional image that we've got right here, and then we could just go back to the main timeline, close our studio, and everything should be looking good. Next up, I'm going to move my playhead at 2 seconds, and we're only just left with screen number 5. So this one, I'll only just use position animation. So click on add animation right here. Position easing is going to be as is. So from 2 seconds, I want to move my playhead forward in time at 4 seconds, drag the second keyframe of my screen number 5, and then simply just, slide it in a little, making it closer to this one like this. And I want to make sure this the distance between each one is even on all of them. So when I go back right here to the very beginning and start playing, this is what the end result is going to look like. Okay, let's have a look and see. It looks like I made a mistake. Okay, cool. That one, right? So it looks like I need to grab this scene and make sure that this one is actually going to be on top, so we wouldn't have this problem. Let's go back and play this, and hopefully we wouldn't have any problem again. Okay, still this one right here, but that goes on top of it. So this is, let's see about that. How can I fix it real quick? So give me 1 second. I'm gonna see the adjustments real quick. So I'm thinking, here's what I can do. I'm thinking if I just click on the first keyframe for that one, and then I'll just drag it to the right side so that it really doesn't go after it. So when I press play, we shouldn't have this problem. Yep, perfect. Cool. So just making this one, farther out, outside the scene. So if I zoom out, you can see here that I just dragged it a little after screen number 4, just to make it look right, and then we wouldn't have any problem. Now, like I said, so that's how you can achieve the video carousel simulation. And if your video is going to be a little longer than that, then what you want to do is you want to group all these guys together like this, and then you can just duplicate the group right here, and then to make this one go after it, just like that. And then you can go ahead and continue to build or make changes to the second group so that your video stays longer. And again, if your desire to create something like this, I would try to keep it as simple as possible, just because it only takes 2 seconds to transition from one slide to another. So you don't want to really create complex scenes that take so much time. You may not have enough time because it only takes 2 seconds. So I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.